So you're interested in finally wearing those cowboy boots that have been in the back of your closet for about 3 years or so. Well, here's everything you need to know before you actually wear those suckers and how to clean them up. Let's get into it.
I'm just here to connect ya, and then I'll be on my way.
Hey everybody, my name is Jeremiah Craig. Welcome back to the channel. If this is your first time here, please subscribe. This is probably a first-timer video. I mean, lots of folks will come through just because it's fun to hang out here on the channel. But maybe you're new. Maybe you just pulled out a pair of cowboy boots from the back of your closet, from down in your basement, from in the garage. And you're like, wow, those don't look too good. What do I need to do to these? Well, I got the answers for you right here. So that's what we're going to discuss today. We're going to take a look at these boots right here, which are from a buddy of mine who did exactly that. Pulled these out of the back of his closet because he wants to wear them tomorrow for the Chili Fest. My buddy outfitted me and my chili team, chili cook-off team, Chili McChiliface, with these hoodies here. He runs an apparel company called PSP Unlimited, and we got some good digital prints here. We're all outfitted for tomorrow's chili cook-off, and he's going to be joining us as well. And he wanted to wear his cowboy boots just because he knows I'm such a big cowboy boot enthusiast. If you guys are interested in, setting yourself up with some apparel, definitely reach out to Jeff Fry at PSP Unlimited. I got his links in the description. These are his boots, and he wanted them cleaned up. But before we clean them up, let's look them over so you know what to look for when you pull your boots out of the back of your closet or in from the garage or up from the basement, all right? First thing we need to look at, what's the most obvious thing, right? They're flopped over. Definitely not the most attractive looking cowboy boot here. Definitely in need of a little blue pill, you know what I'm saying? But don't worry, this is just memory. So they were tucked away in the back of the closet, a bunch of stuff probably piled up on top of them. And because they stayed that way for so long, the leather has memory to stay that way now. But it can also be reminded to stand upright. So when you are cleaning them, or when you're done cleaning them, you can get boot stays, little plastic things, or you could even use a 2-liter bottle or a liter bottle or something. All you need to do is just stick something in here like that, and it expands on the inside, and bam, it's going to stick up straight. And when you condition these and you get them that conditioner all worked into the boot, it's going to remember that it needs to stand up straight and not be all flopped over here. So you'll need to keep something in the boot for several months after wearing them around. You can wear them right away and they'll stand up, but when you tuck them away or put them away or something, make sure that they're standing upright with something inside of them. All right, so that leather is reminded that it needs to stand up straight, and then eventually it will just stay that way without any boot stays. It can remember to stand up straight, just like right now it's remembering to be fallen over because it had things on top of it, all right? So it's just dealing with a lot of trauma, and it needs a little uplifting thoughts and process, just like us all, don't you think? The next most obvious thing here is that the soles are starting to come apart here, right? They're starting to separate from the welt, and you can see it on both of the boots. Now this happens when you wear them in wet weather and then put them away wet. That happens a lot. It also can happen just in general on a lot of factory-made boots because they don't glue them well enough. But once you wear down the boot enough to where the stitching just wears through, it's just the glue that's holding this sole onto the rest of the boot. And once you wear through it, that glue can sort of come undone if you get them wet a lot and don't let them dry properly. So that's most likely what happened here. And this is something that you're going to want to fix sooner rather than later, because the boot can start to unravel a little bit more, and then you're going to be dealing with a little bit more problems than what you want. So take these to a cobbler, get them resoled when you see them like this. Now for tomorrow, for wearing them a day or every once in a while, for a couple hours at a time, it's not going to be that big of a difference. So tomorrow when Jeff wears these for the 4 hours that we're on the Commons slanging our chili to the chili cook-off folks, this will be fine for him. But I am going to encourage him to get a resole. Take these boots to a cobbler, and really all they need is a half sole. If you take them to a cobbler and say, I want a resole, they're going to ask you if you want the entire thing resoled or a half sole. And that basically means they're going to cut it down here someplace and just take this part and replace that. That is much, much, much cheaper than to take the heel off, than to replace the entire sole. You might have to get an entire sole replacement eventually, but in this case, I am going to recommend that Jeff get a half sole resole on both the boots, and if he does wear them a lot in wet weather, which it kind of sounds like he does being up here in the Finger Lakes, I would also probably recommend that half sole be a rubber half sole, just so that they are a little bit more friendly in wet weather and snow, because a leather outsole is not the best thing to be wearing in the snow. So it looks like he's going to be wearing these in weather like he did before, and probably the best thing to do is to have a half sole resole with a rubber outsole as soon as possible. What's the next thing we need to look at? Well, let's look at the heels. All right, how's the heel cap looking? We don't want this rubber heel cap running into the leather, because once you wear down that leather, it's going to cost a lot more to repair. It looks like Jeff has plenty here. We're getting close to where he would need a new heel cap replacement. But usually when you get a half sole resole or any work done on your boot, they're going to ask you if you want new heel caps as well, and you might as well. It's not that big of a deal. It's not that expensive to have new heel caps put on here, and it looks like these are the original ones on these Nakonas, these US-made Nakonas that he got back in 1993. So this is a nice boot that was made during the time that Nakona was making their boots really, really well. So this is a very, very nice boot here, and you're going to want to take care of it. There's still plenty of life in this boot. He was kind of concerned about it because it looks all dusty and nasty, but we're going to take care of that in a little bit. So heel caps, you got plenty of wear here. Just don't let this rubber heel cap run into the leather heel stack here, because if it runs into the leather heel stack, it's going to cost a bunch to get that repaired. So we're looking good on that front. Now, let's look at the leather itself on the foot, see if we have any cracks, because if we do have cracks, it's just nice to know. There's really not much you can do about cracks in leather, but it's just nice to know, because if a leather has been sitting around for years in the back of a closet, it might dry out and crack a little bit. But it also might not crack because it's not being used. So one of the important things that you're going to want to do when you do pull these boots out of your back of the closet, up from the basement, down from the attic, wherever the boots are, is condition them, which is what we're going to do in a minute. But it's nice to see how dry the leather is and if there are any cracks. I'm not seeing, there might be a little crack right here, very, very little one. Cracks are different than the wrinkles that you get in leather. It looks like, the leather has actually had a little bit of cut in it. And if you look at these Justin Ropers here, these classic Justin Ropers, you can see a couple of cracks in this boot that I got used off of shopgoodwill.com. So that's what a crack looks like. And just the regular wrinkles here aren't cracks, unless you can kind of see the shadows or inside the leather a little bit. That would be a crack. These boots are looking really good. They are a little dusty, a little dirty, but they just need some love, and that's it. The last thing that we'll talk about is mold. If boots have been stored away for a very long time, there is a high potential that they could be moldy depending on the conditions in your house or where the boots were stored. So what we're going to want to look for are little black dots in the boot or on the inside. So we could take a look on the inside here, and I'm not seeing anything really that bad. I'm not seeing any little black dots that would show that it's mold or any like fuzzy issues. And if you're getting fuzzy mold, then that's a pretty big problem. Either like little black spots or a lot of mold. I did a video on how to clean that up if you want to check it out. It's kind of a gross thing, but it can be done. So I've done a video on that in the past, and I'll link it up here and in the description. So we're not seeing any mold here. We're not seeing anything too crazy. These boots are in relatively good shape, minus the fact that they are about to separate from the welt, which means that they are going to need a resole sooner rather than later. But for the purposes of the chili cook-off, they will be fine for tomorrow. So if you're in a similar situation where you want to wear your boots for a particular function with all your weight on this, nobody's really going to know that this boot is separating from the outsole until it actually falls off. Which, who knows, it might. You don't know. You don't know, especially if you are wearing it in a lot of wet weather for tomorrow. Who knows? It might rain during the Chili Fest. Usually it does here in March. So now let's talk about cleaning them up and getting them ready for whatever function that you wanted to pull the cowboy boots out of the back of your closet for in the first place. So what we're going to do today is we're going to saddle soap these boots, we're going to condition the boots, and we're going to shine them up. So what you're going to need is a couple of rags, a couple of different ones. You're going to want a shining rag and an application rag and just a general rag to sort of wipe dust off. You're going to want some saddle soap. This is for cowhide boots in particular. You don't always want to saddle soap all leathers, but for cowhide, it's great. Once we're done with that, we're also going to want to condition the boots, and I have Bic 4 here, which works on pretty much all different kinds of smooth leathers, including exotics. You don't want to use it on roughouts or suedes or distressed leathers, but I like to have a big old bottle of it just because I use it on a bunch of stuff. And then a shoe polish. I'm going to use Kiwi today, and I know a lot of regular viewers just groan. They're like, oh, not Kiwi, wax polish. But if you are bringing your boots out of the back of your closet, I'm guessing you probably don't want to invest in expensive shoe care products. Kiwi will be just fine for you. I used it for 10 years on boots that I had, and they were just fine. There are plenty of better things to use. Shoe creams are great. Saphir is a great product. Scout makes some great shoe creams. Wax polish are definitely frowned upon by a lot of people, but for this purpose, since it is so cheap, I don't want the cost of entry for you guys thinking about getting back into cowboy boots to be so high that you just forget it altogether. So Kiwi will be just fine for you. And you're also going to want a horsehair brush. You don't need a horsehair brush, but it definitely helps. It's also pretty cheap, so it's not that big of a deal. Maybe a container for water with the saddle soap as well. So what we're going to do is I'm going to get some water and we're going to prepare to saddle soap these boots. All right, first things first. Let's get these things ready to saddle soap and just get the dust off of the boot. Random dust, things that we don't want to be grinding into the leather with a brush. Oh, did I mention that? I don't think I mentioned that before. You'll want like an applicator for the saddle soap, and I use a fingernail brush with pretty soft plastic bristle brushes. Can't even say it. Anyways, you gotta dust off the boots, kind of get whatever is on the leather off, just so we're not scrubbing it into the leather, because you don't really need to do that with that plastic bristle brush. I did it. All right, just a little dust off here, and we're ready to go. I'm gonna leave this one the way it is over here, so you can see the before and after, and we're just gonna do this right boot here. So we got ourselves a little bit of water, we got ourselves some saddle soap here. I'm working with just the dregs of the saddle soap because I use it. I'm gonna need to order some more. And if you're interested in ordering any of this yourself, I got links in the description. There are affiliate links, and the small commission that comes from your purchases definitely help this channel continue on into the future. So we're going to take our little plastic bristle brush. I'm getting better here as the video progresses. Get a little wet, rub it around in here a little bit into the soap, just so we can get it onto the brush. And then what we're going to do is take our boots and just, oh shit, I got water everywhere. Bummer, dude. What we're going to do is just start applying the wet soap and the wet brush onto the boot just like this, all right? Let me clean this shit up real quick. All right, that's good enough for now. All right, so we're doing the whole boot here, including the heel. An important thing to do is to make sure you get into the welt, which is this part of the boot where you see the stitching that meets the foot leather into this sole, right? So we're going to want to get in there, make sure you get it nice and clean and brush all that shit and junk out of there. You can do the top too if you want. The more you treat the top, the easier it will be when you put those plastic stays or whatever you do to put it in there. Keep that boot upright. It's going to respond much better if you're actually doing the same thing to the top that you do the foot, but you don't always need to do the top. You don't always need to clean the top like you do the foot. We're going to get the heel as well because we're going to try to shine up that heel and make these pop for the chili cook-off tomorrow. So if Jeff's going to be hanging out in my booth, we got to make sure his boots look good. You know what I mean? All right. So you can see that we've brushed them down and they look pretty wet. That's fine. It's fine that they got a little wet, but we're going to want to let them dry for a hot second before we put our conditioner on. So what I'm doing right now is I'm taking a rag and I'm just sort of removing any excess soap, any excess stuff from the boot, and that way maybe it'll dry a little bit faster. So we're just going to let it sit and dry before we hit it with the Bic 4. And I'll probably just answer some questions on YouTube for the YouTube Shorts and condition some other stuff while I'm waiting. So see you on YouTube Shorts. All right, looks like it's dried enough. Doesn't need to be completely dry, but even just look at it. Just sitting there after saddle soap on the top, getting the top a little wet and letting them sit with the stays. Check it out. Pretty much back to normal. I mean, it does kind of want to lean back, and it probably eventually will, but memory of leather can be altered pretty easily, all right? So don't worry if your tops are all flopped over because they can adjust back. And that was just a half an hour sitting there waiting for them to dry while I was doing some YouTube Shorts. So let's condition these now. I'm going to use Bic 4 just because it works well on a bunch of different kinds of leather and it's not too expensive. It's just a good all-around leather conditioner. You're just going to put a little on the boot here like that. Could just be that much. It might need a little bit extra depending on how thirsty the boots are. That's a John Denver song, isn't it? Take off your thirsty boots and stay for a while. Well, we're resaturating these boots, and we'll see if they need a little bit extra, but it's not like you can over-condition with Bic 4. I was at Custom Cowboy Boot School, and I made these boots right here at Custom Cowboy Boot School, and at every stage of the process, we were conditioning the leather. So that meant we were conditioning the boots or sections of the boot 3 to 4 times a day over the course of 2 weeks. So it's not like you can over condition with Bic 4 unless you just let the boots sit in the conditioner, which you're going to get bored of conditioning your boots before you over condition them. I'm telling you that right now. So we're going to get the heel a little bit too, the top, and then we're going to just let them sit for a second and let them soak into it before we start the shine process. So there we go. And that's just as simple as that. Just rub it in with your hands and you're good to go. Let them dry. And while they dry, I'm going to put this back in there just so that leather gets used to the fact that it should be staying upright. All right, so our Bic 4 has dried, and look how vibrant the leather already is. Just check it out. It looks so much more vibrant, so much more lively, right? Some people say, oh, it's changing the color. Now, these boots were just thirsty. This is the color that it should be, all right? Boots, when they get dried out, it's like when your skin gets dried out. It gets flaky looking. It gets sort of lighter in color. Once you lotion it, you get a more vibrant, lively look to your skin. Same thing with the boots. So these are already looking spectacular. And the next step is going to be a step where a lot of boot enthusiasts are going to hate. And you can just turn it off now if you want, because I'm going to use wax polish. I don't want there to be a huge barrier to entry to somebody just thinking about getting back into cowboy boots. At the end of the day, a wax polish isn't going to hurt your boots that much. I mean, are there better things for it so that the leather can breathe? For sure. A boot cream is going to be better for it. But at the end of the day, if you just want to spend $3 on a little tin can of kiwi and shine up your boots for whatever purpose, if you're already not wearing your boots that frequently, this is going to be fine. So we're going to go with it. I want you wearing your boots, whether you use Saphir or Kiwi wax polish. Doesn't matter to me. Just wear your boots. And we're just going to do the foot leather here. We're going to leave the top alone. There's really no reason to do the top, in my opinion. But if you disagree, then you can put that in the comments. Waxing the top, it might change the look, the little color of it once it's done, and the foot might look a little bit more shiny than the top. Some people might have different opinions about that, but at the end of the day, your pants should be over top of them anyways, and that wax will eventually come off, and they'll end up looking like this eventually again anyways, and we'll have to go through this entire process again. So we're just going to use the wax polish on these boots. This is where you take a rag and you just sort of rub it around in the wax here, in the kiwi wax polish. Just get a little bit on that rag. The rag may bleed through and you'll end up with a dark finger maybe. So if you don't want that, then you might want to consider wearing plastic gloves during this process. And then what we're going to do is just apply it to the boots in a circular motion like this. Everywhere you can see, all right? And we're just going to do that until we kind of run out. Head back to the tin here, get a little bit more on our rag, and continue down the boot. So I'll see you in a second after this time lapse. All right, so we covered the whole foot here, and one of the things that I like to do just to bring out a little bit more shine in the place of the boot where it'll get the most view is maybe put a little bit more on the toe of the boot, because then we might get a little bit more shine out of it, okay? So just on the toe, maybe just below where this toe bug and wrinkle is, that's what you call this, the toe bug and wrinkle. We're just gonna put it like that. And now once we have the entire boot, the entire foot done, you can see that it got a little bit more dull, right? So it's not looking too fancy right now. But the next step in this process after you apply the wax is to grab your horsehair brush here. And remember that if you're just getting back into it, you're going to want to have a brush for each color of polish or shoe cream that you use, because you don't want a black brush to use on a brown boot, or else the brown boot might get a little bit darker. So here I have brown written on this one. That is my brown horsehair brush. So what we're going to do is we're just going to start brushing it like this, and you can see that it's already starting to shine, but this ain't nothing yet. So we're going to brush all the way around everywhere we put that wax. We're going to try to just have the horsehair brush hit the leather. You don't want to hit the leather with the wood, because that might lead to scuffs and it's going to take a little bit longer to fix. So just do it intentionally. You don't have to do it carefully, but just brush intentionally. You know what I mean? All right. So there's a point of diminishing returns with the brush. And once you see that maybe you're not getting that much more shine out of it, that's when we take a rag to it. So we're going to go back and grab our rag. It could be the same rag that we used for the wax application. Just take the other side of it, right? A clean portion of it. Here's a clean portion right here. And then what we're going to do is just buff the boot. So kind of approach it like this in a circular fashion. And the more you buff, the shinier it will get. All right? So let's just continue to buff it here, and you can see that shine come out, right? See that shine come out. Check it out. Check it out. You can already see it. Look at that. Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo. Looking good. So we're just going to do this a little bit more, and I'm going to time lapse through it because it is boring as hell just to sit there and watch it. All right, so as you continue to buff the boot, again, you're going to get to a point of diminishing returns where it will only get slightly shinier and shinier. One thing that you can do, and something that works really well with wax polish, is something that might be related to the spit shine. We're not actually spitting on the boot, but we can just kind of breathe on it, right? Use that moisture from our breath just to shine up the toe a little bit. So what you can do is just like that, right? And then use that little bit of moisture just to shine up the toe even more. It might not make that much of a difference if you're not under the best light, but sometimes it makes a huge difference just to shine up the toe a little bit. And there's something about a shiny toe that makes a boot look even better. There we go. There we go. That's what I'm talking about. And of course they make shining rags, and this whole thing runs deep. But again, barrier of entry. Rip up an old t-shirt, it'll be fine. You don't need a special shining rag, microfiber deal that's just for shining. You literally can just use a t-shirt and it'll do the job just fine. Can it be better? Oh, sure. Those microfiber shining things, they actually do a really good job. Do you need them? No. Remember, barrier of entry. If you're interested at all in wearing your cowboy boots again, as long as they fit and feel good, just start wearing them. You can use this process. It's very cheap to do this. All of these things are very cheap. There are more expensive versions of each and every item that I've shown here, but you don't need it. It can get better, but the most important thing is that you are happy with how your boots look and you just start wearing them again. That's all I want. All right, we're gonna go with this, all right? So as you can see, we have a nice shine here, and this is what it was before. Check that out. These boots are back to life, all right? There's one more thing, though, that we can look at, and that's the heel, right? The heel and the sole edge. It's still kind of dull, isn't it? Now, they make a special product for this. Again, barrier of entry. They make edge dressing, all right? And this is a product, it's kind of like a dye, and basically you can, it was stuck there. Basically you could take this and rub it on the heel of the boot and the edge and then shine it up just like we're doing here. This is another, oh no, I broke the top. Bummer, dude. I'm gonna have to find a plastic bag for this. All my stuff is going nuts today. What is it? Venus in retrograde or something? Must be. All right, so we don't need this stuff. In actuality, I really like this. I prefer this, but again, barrier of entry. We can just use the wax polish on the heel and the sole edge and get a very similar result. I did it for years. I now like the edge dressing better, but we can use this as well. Same process. Let's get our rag again. Coming back to the kiwi wax here. Right? get a little bit on that rag where your finger is, and then we're just gonna apply it to the heel, right here, right? We're gonna cover up all that nasty looking leather that has that water damage, maybe has a little bit of driver's heel damage, because when you drive around with your boots, you're gonna get a little bit of wear from the mats and all the stones that end up being on the car floor when you're driving around. So we're just gonna apply it to the heel here and then go through the same process that we just did. We're gonna brush it and buff it, and it's gonna give us a shiny heel just like the edge dressing would, without having to buy edge dressing. Is edge dressing better? I believe it is. I like it much better. I think you get a better shine out of it. But Kiwi wax, like we use for the foot, will be just fine for people just starting to get back into it. All right, we have the heel done. Now let's go along the sole edge. So basically where the heel ends here, we have a piece of leather, which is the sole, and then down here we have the sole and the welt, which is where this separation is happening. So the sole is up here, and the part that is separating away from the boot up here is the welt. So that is the part, the edge, where we can start applying that wax again to get a nice, shiny, and dark edge as well to complete the transformation from the closet. All right, so once we have it all applied, we're going to take our horsehair brush again and brush the heel and the sole edge to get that first little bit of shine, and then we're going to buff it again with the rag. You can see that shine coming back too. All right, there we go. And to finish off the shine, we're going to take our rag again, an area that hasn't been touching the wax, and we're just going to buff it. And there we go. Check that out. All right, so we got a nice shiny heel, nice shiny sole edge, even though we are getting some sole separation here at the welt, so it kind of looks a little funny, almost like lipstick on a pig, but they'll be fine for tomorrow with Jeff wearing them for the chili cook-off. And I want to show you what they were before, right? Here's what they were before, right? Just kind of a gnarly looking heel, a little bit of mud, a little bit of water damage, the leather not moisturized, looking kind of dry here, kind of boring, lifeless, and then the transformation. Here we go. This is what it looks like now after we complete the process. We got a shinier heel. We got a moisturized, vibrant looking foot. Whenever you do a wax, you're going to want to condition first, okay? Wax polishes do not condition a boot, and they will actually make it drier and the leather will crack. I learned that the hard way, all right? So take my word for it. Condition your boots before you apply the wax. And you can see that the tops really aren't that much different of a color. It's just not as shiny, all right? So there you have it. I'm going to do that to this boot here. We went from out of the back of the closet to ready for the function, all right? Let me know if you guys have any questions, and I'll show you the completed pair here. Oh, there was one more thing that I wanted to say. Because this boot has been away for a while, not only is it kind of falling over, but it's kind of looking sad here in the foot. So I have these trees, these shoe trees that I'm going to put inside to fill out that space, and I'm going to let them sit overnight before I take them back to Jeff for tomorrow, and that way this leather, as you can see, gets filled out a little bit more and has the memory of what it feels like to have a foot in there. All right, so this way some of the wrinkles are going to be evened out by tomorrow, and hopefully they'll be standing up straight, looking spectacular on their own for the function. Let me know what you guys think. As you can see, we got the shoe tree in here. They also make cedar boot trees, shoe trees, which are better than the plastic one, except my plastic one has the capability to be used in a bunch of different size boots. As you saw, I can change where it is with these holes. In cedar boot trees, I can't do that. I can't do that with these ones. They do make them with little adjustments here, but they make more money if you just buy them one size at a time. So these are the only ones that I have for that purpose. I would like to use cedar boot trees, but I don't have this size, which is a 10 single E. A 10 single E. Nikona. Gotta love it. Back in the days when they were making all the width sizes. Let me know if you guys have any questions about this process. Remember, just wear your boots. Pull them out from the back of the closet, down from the attic, up from the basement, in from the garage, wherever your boots are, wear them again. And as you can see, the barrier to entry to start wearing them and looking good in them, again, is very low. And it can go up as high as you want it to. But the main thing is that you wear your boots again, because it's so much fun, guys. And it seriously is a confidence booster and makes you feel better overall. Boot up, and I'll see you guys around. Peace.
Get those boots from out of your closet. You're overdue to really rock it. But clean them up and wear them out. That's what boots are all about, yeah. Thank you so much for watching today. Why don't you check out this other cowboy boot video up here, or I got a music video down here I think you might enjoy. Don't forget to subscribe up here, and I will see you next time. Peace. Have a good one.